So I'm in a cafe in Lviv right now in Ukraine, and I'll show you out the window what it looks like. You see the old building there, people walking along, and there's also some tracks there for the tram. It runs along here. I'm in the center of the city, here to do some administrative tasks that I have to get done while I'm here, and having some orange juice for breakfast. I want to read to you in Ephesians 4:14, a fresh translation I made while I'm sitting here, on a topic that I've discussed with you before. This chapter is mostly about teachers and pastors and leaders in the church and their role for us as Christians. I'm going to read to you this, and I'm going to remind you what I've told you before. It says, in order that, now this is talking about the work of the leaders and what the purpose is for you as a Christian. So what is my work for you? In order that we are no longer being infants unable to speak, billowing ourselves to and fro, and being carried all about in every breeze from the teaching, in the gambling of the human beings, in the constant toil towards the going along in the midst of the wandering astray. Now it's probably something you're going to say, I've never heard anything like that before. Well, as I've said before, of course not. Because this is from the Greek text. There's no interpreting going on here. I'm translating what it says for you without interpreting. I'm not replacing a word or a phrase here with something that I prefer or I like. I'm just telling you what it says. And now I'm going to try to help you to understand what it means for you today as a Christian. I've told you before that you should not be going along YouTube chasing after teachers and chasing after channels and going here and there and trying to tickle your ears with the next teaching. This is saying that. Let me read it again. In order that we are no longer being infants, unable to speak, billowing ourselves to and fro. That's like the wind pushing a wave along, back here, over here. But you're doing it to yourself. That's what this is saying. It's in the middle voice. It means you are doing it to yourself. Billowing ourselves to and fro and being carried all about in every breeze from the teaching. So you're hearing a teaching and you feel a breeze going this way and you go off over that way. So you feel the breeze. You're being carried about by the breeze, but it's because you're billowing yourself. You're pushing yourself. And so that when the next breeze comes by in the teaching, you're carried along. But you're preparing yourself for that. You're the one doing it. And I'm telling you to stop doing that. You need to stick with channels like this one that you know are true teachers who are truly teaching you from the scriptures, the real scriptures, not just in English translation, but are really, and not everyone who's teaching from the Greek is really teaching what the testimony of God says. They're adjusting it and adapting it to their theology, their theological framework, and they're ignoring the verses that contradict that in the Greek contradict it. In the English, of course, they try to cover over that as well. But they're complicit. Those teachers are complicit who are teaching from the Greek and trying to fit it in with their systematic theologies. And it says here, carried all about in every breeze from the teaching, in the gambling of the human beings, in the constant toil. So they're gambling with their salvation. They're gambling with their salvation. In the gambling of the human beings, in the constant toil towards, they're gambling with their salvation by constantly toiling and working hard towards going along in the midst of wandering astray. They are trying to stay in this road that is going astray. They're striving very hard. They're laboring. They're sweating over it to stay in that, and they're gambling their salvation away. And that's where you are ending up when you're carried along by that breeze. So that's why I say you need to stop that habit, and you need to focus in and stay put. Quit using YouTube channels about the Christian faith as a form of entertainment. And you may not think that you're doing that, but when you're doing this, you're doing that. And it needs to stop. It's a lot to think about. But it's also hard to do. But you have to do it. You have to train yourself to stop billowing yourselves to and fro, so that you're ready to be caught by a breeze and end up wandering astray, or toiling in that way, to stay in that way of wandering astray. You got to discipline yourself and get back onto the way, which is Jesus. Because he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And that no one comes to the Father apart from me, apart from Jesus, the way to eternal life. May the Lord bless you as you seek him with all your heart.